All right. Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, fellow ADC mains. I have some terrible news to go over today. Today's video, one which we haven't done in a while, is going to be one of pure complaining, pure opinion as well. I don't have any facts and logic. Well, logic I do have, but I don't have any facts or sources to back up my information. And the credible Hulk would be disappointed in me, but I felt like I needed to get this video out. So, I've been an ADC main in League for my entirety of playing League of Legends. Ever since I started way early on in season, I believe, 2, and then I took a big break, and then I actually came back in season 4. And since season 4, I've pretty much played every season since then up to now. And I can confidently say, and I've said this a lot at my streams every day that I play Twitch TV Tecnics channel, when I play League, when I play ADC, over time, ADC has just gotten worse. Now, again, I'm not going to pull up the Carfaxes here. I'm going to bring up some anecdotal evidence, some of my historic opinions about why, but I'm not going to have any facts here. But just trust me on this. I'm an old man when it comes to League. I believe in a very traditional bot lane. I believe in a very crit-oriented, support, tank, engage-oriented bot lane, maybe even enchanters, but not the shit we have now. Overall, the bot lane has basically become bastardized in two ways, and I never thought it would get worse than what it is, but leave it to Riot to take something you love and just shit all over it. So what am I talking about? Basically, over time, the ADC role, or at least the bot lane in general, has become one of just, you can do whatever the fuck you want in it. Now, we saw the early telltale signs of the cancer happening when we saw people like Set come out. When people like Set came out and they started going everywhere, that should have been a telltale sign, because Set was originally released as a top laner. He can go top lane, he can go mid lane as well, and then they started taking him jungle, they started taking him support, and they started taking him ADC. Now, at first we just thought this was just specific to Set. It was not just specific to Set, because then it started happening more and more. Zig started going bot, we started getting Heimerdinger support, Cassiopeia ADC, or, all damage, all AP carry, and just more and more stuff started going in the bot lane. I mean, we've always had Lux support, so already we saw the telltale signs of bot lane being bastardized, but it's gone to such a point now over the years where just the role itself, as well as the ADC role specifically, are both just trash. So the roles that go in the bot lane have become bastardized to just whatever the fuck you want, mostly mages, but honestly, whatever. I remember back in the day, you used to get flamed, reported, and beat up if you went what was considered to be a troll bot lane, right? Like, if someone is going Teemo bot lane, you'd report them. Now that is something that is considered legitimate in both AD and AP roles, or not AP roles, in support roles. So if you're going Teemo and ADC, either building him AP or AD, which you never build him AD, so just AP, or if you go him as a support, no one bats an eye anymore. So the role itself, the identity of the role, has basically faced an identity death. It doesn't know what it is anymore, and it's not traditional anymore. So, what is Riot's response to this? Over time, and this is also a cause and an effect at the same time. Over time, because of the itemization changes in League and just the general, game changes overall, ADC has become weaker. A big push for Riot at one point or another was to reduce damage that was in League, to reduce damage and to reduce healing. Those were two big pushes. Now, while I don't necessarily disagree that those were needed, the way in which it was done has led to the weakening of the ADC role over time. The best things that ADCs ever got in this game was Ardent. Ardent meta was the one time in the sun we had to basically frolic among the flowers, and we got smacked down from our fever dream almost instantly. The Ardent meta did not last long. Meanwhile, every other meta, every other problem that occurs with every other role, look at jungle, stays around for God knows how long, for literal seasons. So already Riot is biased towards ADC. Now, I will admit, it is a hard role to balance. It is the carry role. But still, what they've done to it is just ridiculous. So, they need to decrease damage. Okay, they decreased damage. IE used to give 250% crit rate, or not crit rate, crit damage. They lowered that. They lowered that because they were lowering damage overall. Okay, fine, right? But now, when you incentivize other roles to go into the bot lane, either because the game time doesn't last long enough and the entire AD role is based off scaling and needing someone to help them, the support role has become unfun. And when I say support role, I mean actual supports, engagers, tanks, enchanters. So people just go mages now, right? This has led to a whole, again, identity death of the bot lane where it's like, if you have support being bad, the AD role is going to get fucked for it because if you don't have a support as an AD, you get fucked. If the enemy is going a mage and your support is going a support and not doing good, the mage is going to outdo the support because they can kill. And because the games last so short anyway, it doesn't matter that they go a tank because you're not going to scale because they're ahead earlier than you and they scale earlier. So already the identity death of the bot lane has basically been in place for a while. This is nothing new. This has been happening for the last season or two. Now, the problem I have now, and this really reared its ugly head with the mid-season quote-unquote update, and yeah, I just want to put forward, this is what they do with Jhin, and this is what they do with the massive ADC role as a whole in general. When they say update, or when they say bug fix, it's a nerf. Every update and bug fix on Jhin was basically a nerf. The biggest ones were Jinso's, for Jhin specifically, Jinso's, and Hail of Blades. Hail of Blades is a 3 auto attack rune. For Jhin, it got bug fixed and it only applies on 2 of his autos because it was too good. Jinso's really made Jhin viable. They bug fixed it, which basically made it so he can't giga stack AD with it. So historically speaking, just with Jhin, any bug fix is a nerf. And it's the same thing with ADCs. Any update they give the ADC class, they give the ADC role, is a nerf. Look at the runes. The runes alone are prime example of this, about how things get bastardized and nerfed for ADs. So look at Lethal Tempo. Lethal Tempo, while not exclusively used by ADCs, is a rune primarily used by ADCs. People in top lane like Jax abused it, and it got nerfed not only for melee, but for ranged as well. The problem was on Jax. The problem of Lethal Tempo being too good on melees was because of Jax for one of the times it got nerfed. So Riot in all their high wisdom was like, okay, let's nerf Lethal Tempo for melees. Oh, but then it's going to be too good on ranged, even though it wasn't good already on ranged, but I guess comparatively. So let's nerf it for ranged too. So anytime it gets nerfed for someone else, it affects ADCs because they have to nerf it for them too for some ungodly reason. So already things in this game are getting nerfed for ADCs constantly over time, either because of someone else or just because of no reason. Now, what ended up happening with this mid-season update is they changed a lot of items, and I'm not going to go too in-depth into them, because then it would have to go into the state of the game, how long do games last, which again, they're pretty short. But with this mid-season update, they changed a couple stuff around. But after sitting with the mid-season update for a little bit, all of League, just in general for an ADC main, has become shit. Now, what specifically happened without going into too much detail, because I have a patch note video on my channel if you want to see that and if you want to see me react to it. Basically, the biggest egregious change, aside from them just nerfing straight up items, right? They took a lot of our mythics that used to be mythics and they made them legendaries, which obviously they need to make them worse. But when you see what they do to other roles versus how they treat the ADC role, it's fucking ridiculous. In the same mid-season patch, they changed support items. They changed some support items from mythics to legendaries, from legendaries to mythics. They added a new one. But anything they changed wasn't gutted. It wasn't really changed that much. A lot of the support, and you could argue maybe it's because the support role sucks anyway, and I would agree, but it's the same thing with the ADC role. Because look at what's happening in the bot lane, like I said before. If the support role sucks, ADCs suck, and then ADCs aren't going to go ADCs, they're going to go mages because supports are going mages anyway. So overall, both roles suck, which means neither role wants to be played because one relies on the other. So overall, just from the state of the role, it's getting shafted. So essentially, what happened with this mid-season update is they changed mythics and they made IE a mythic. Now, what did they do to IE to make it a mythic? Nothing. They just made it a mythic. Now, the only thing they really changed is two things. And one of them is kind of a big change, but it doesn't necessarily matter because of the whole broader scope of things. They made IE a mythic, right? So now it has a mythic passive of giving you 5 AD per completed item. So now it has a mythic passive of giving you 5 AD per completed item. Oh, woohoo, big whoop, cool, 5 AD. That's like all of their patch notes. And they made it a mythic, which means now you can build it first. You're encouraged to build it first, and you don't need to wait to get a certain amount of crit rate to activate Infinity Edge's passive of doing more crit damage. But here's where the issue lies. Before this change, ADCs had pretty much cookie cutter builds. This new patch, this new mid-season patch, does open up new build options, which is good. However, it makes you make a very bad choice overall for the role. And this is, again, just furthering the identity death of ADCs, because now you're going to go even more other bullshit down there. It makes you choose between doing crit damage and doing other things. ADC traditionally has been a role of I am going to auto you, I'm going to do massive damage with my autos, and you're going to die. Now, over time, they've added some things to try and switch up the formula. They've added in, Callista. They've added in, I mean, I would say Kai'Sa has done basically pretty much everything. Kai'Sa is like the set of the bot lane, let's be realistic. But they've added in Xayah, Callista, Lucian. These people are people who do damage with autos, but also do it with primarily abilities. So you can argue, okay, Navori's for them. You have a style of AD where, yeah, they could do damage with their autos, but you also want to do damage with their abilities, which is where Navori Quick Blades comes in. Okay, that's fine. I would say that's healthy. However, just having IE being always built on ADCs, have it always being an option with all the other options in the game, and you weren't restricted, was a thing that was always in place. The only exception to this being you can't build Infinity Edge with Jinso's, because with Jinso's, you lose your ability to crit, because you're just fully on hit. That's fine. That is one distinction historically that has been there, where you have to choose between crit or on hit. But now, with this new mid-season update, take Gale Force for example. Gale Force is an extremely good ADC item. It gives a lot of ADCs something they need desperately, which is mobility. Because look at Shield Bow. Shield Bow, they demoted it from a mythic to a legendary, so it's not as good as saving you as what it once was. It's still there to try and save you, but it's the same thing as GA, as Guardian Angel. It can try and save you, but you're pretty much dead anyway unless it's a god item, unless it gives you a lot more. So Shield Bow is worse off at saving you. It's not a mythic anymore, right? But with all the mythics previously, you can build anything. You could build survivability, mobility, and damage with Kraken, Shield Bow, and Gale Force, and you could still build IE. You could still choose to do a lot of crit damage, like an ADC should. Or you could choose Navori. However, now, you have to actively pick, you have to go more niche into picking crit damage. This is such a stupid fucking change. Not only does it gut the role, because now you have to choose between things you would get before. And before, as I've mentioned, the ADC role was already in an identity crisis, competing in viability in the bot lane with other roles, such as Mage and freaking, whoever the fuck else wants to go down there. Mage, Bruiser, Assassin, you name it, right? If ADC before, when they had all the options at their disposal to combine them with almost no restrictions aside from Jinso's, and they were already doing bad, how about now when you further restricted them, where, oh, you want to do crit damage and be mobile? Well, too bad, you have to be immobile and you're doing crit damage. And it's not like IE is significantly better. Okay, yeah, sure, you could build it first, but even in the early game, your crits aren't doing that much damage. You don't have that much AD over your belt. So, overall, what Riot has chosen to do is make Infinity Edge a mythic. Honestly, this update wouldn't be that bad if they just left it a legendary, but in all their high mighty knowledge, they're like, okay, let's just split up the ADC role even more, because certain champions like Jhin very much synergize with Gale Force. Jhin wants to build Gale Force. However, now he has to choose between building Gale Force or doing more damage, which is the whole point of his role, of even his character. A lot of ADCs now, a lot of crit ADCs have to choose between building damage, going into specking damage, or doing something else such as being survivable or doing stupid on hit or doing more damage with their abilities, which some ADCs, that's fine. But the problem is, now that there's quote unquote more choice, There's actually less of a choice because the choices are worse now, and it's further dividing you into what you could do before at all times. And it's just terrible. Overall, this game over time has just shafted ADs. The matchmaking's gotten worse. I mean, that's not really the fault of AD, but I'm just kind of complaining about League now and Riot in general. Matchmaking is terrible. The game is terrible. The people are terrible. The balancing is dumb. The skins aren't good compared to all the other games. The cosmetics suck. And they finally, I think, not necessarily put the nail in the coffin, but they're finally choking out the almost dead corpse of the ADC player, which is, okay, your role's fucked. You can't play bot lane because unless you're duoed and you're going traditional, which is what me and my buddy Elijah do, unless you have someone who literally is an old man like you and doing traditional bot lane, there's almost no reason to play ADCs now. Now, the biggest thing, at least currently, of what makes ADCs good is the stupid on-hit builds, or the people who are kind of outliers when it comes to crit. Draven, Jhin, Kog'Maw, and all these other people are the best ADs right now in the game. And I'll just tell you this from experience, if Kog'Maw is the best ADC in the game, that's not a good spot. Riot doesn't like that, and they're gonna nerf it and change it. Kog'Maw, they hate him being the best AD, and if Kog'Maw's the best AD, there's some on-hit nonsense going on, and on-hit is too strong. It's really telling when all the traditional old-school auto-attack ADs are the worst in the game right now. But anyway, I just wanted to come vent my frustrations, basically say a little overview of what I think of this mid-season patch and how it quote-unquote, changes ADCs, where literally in the same patch, they change top lane and they change support, and it's not the same as what they do to bot lane, and it's historic, it's proven. Again, I'm not going to show the Carfaxes because I don't have enough time, but just, oh my god, it's so bad. But anyway, I'm gonna let my streaming self take over, and this is basically the realization I had on stream. I was explaining to Elijah, and you could hear how it sounds live from my mouth. But anyway, I just wanted to put that forward. ADC sucks even more as the future goes on. ADC just gets worse, and I don't know how. I hope it'll get better. I don't know if it will. I honestly don't know what to do, which is why in League now, when I stream every day at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel, I sometimes just play ARAM or TFT because it's more fun than Rift, at least being an ADC player. So anyway, my heart goes out to all those ADC players. Riot, please fix AD. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy stream live me. Eee!
I mean, we lost because our jungler had Down syndrome and the enemy team just went full mage.
Oh my god.
Full mage. Doesn't matter, man.
Now you have to choose between, like, if you want to do damage with IE or if you want to just do anything else.
It's so dumb.
It's so, like, it makes playing AD feel so shitty because now you're not gonna do damage and do other things you used to be able to do. It's so stupid, bruh. Like, all the old ADs, right? All the auto attack ADs now are just in the shitter. It's so sad.
Damn, that sucks, man. So what? Is it the age of the fucking casters, man? Now all the mages can rejoice and fucking.
It's the age of people who don't who are untraditional. So the worst ADs in the game right now are Vayne, Aphelios, Kai'Sa, Ezreal, Samira, Jinx, Caitlyn. Jinx is one of the worst ADs in the game. There's an issue.
If Ezreal's one of the worst, there's an issue.
And that's always the case.
He's always baseline. I feel like Ezreal's always baseline. You said when he gets into the season, then it's like, okay. Like,
if he's in season, that means ADs suck.
But now he's not in season. What does that mean?
And ADs still suck. We're in the worst dimension.
Oh,
oh my god, dude. That's terrible fucking games. I hate it. Because we have to sit there for so long, have so much unfun the whole time, and then, like, ugh.
I don't mind Rift because when it's good, it's good. It's just that, like, I don't know. I just wish, like, I feel like you and I are just fossils, man. I feel like you and I just haven't gone with the times, bro.
I mean, now it's even harder with these new items. Like these new items are so bad.
Bro. Like, they promote everything except the traditional bot, bro. I swear to God.
You want to go traditional bot? Now you have to sacrifice some of your build that you could do before. Like the biggest one is Gale Force, right? Before you could get Gale Force and still do IE levels of damage, because you could increase your crit with IE. Now, okay, you want mobility, you're gonna do less crit damage. So at that point, no one builds crit, they just build Junsos.
You think they're gonna revert that? You think they're gonna revert it? Because that sounds so terrible.
It is. And no one realized, like, I don't understand, no one's talking about these things. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticing it. I'm the only one who's like mentioning it, but everyone else is like, "Wow, new ADMs! Wow, they finally changed AD! Hip hip hooray!" And I'm thinking like, you guys like this change? Huh?
Bro, I think they're just starved for any changes. So anything they think is good, bro. Like, oh yeah, they haven't taken our role serious since like fucking season 5 or 6,
Did you see
and
our
now
patch
it's
notes yet?
no, I didn't. I still haven't seen it. The
Dude,
2 hour long one, right?
yeah, the mid
I
season.
gotta watch it. I gotta watch it.
Dude,
That's why everything's new because the mid season update came out.
dude,
That's why.
watch that thing and like you're gonna see. Let's just say you know my opinions now, but like, oh my god, I have the fears in that video. I list my fears out and they're coming true.
My fears.
Like, bro, what they do to some of these ADs. You know why Vayne is so bad? You know why Jinx is so bad? Because again, they're losing part of their builds, right? Like part of their build now is bad. Static sucks cock.
It
It's
looks
not the
cool.
old static.
Like
It blows.
like the in game looks cool. What does it do now?
It does the same thing as old static, except it does it
Oh,
like more to minions.
oh,
It's for
that's
wave
good.
clear. If you
Oh
have a
yeah.
wave clear as an AD, you get static.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Like
Just
before,
league,
you
bro.
remember how static would crit? You can crit
Hmm.
with static's proc. You can't crit, but it'll do more damage to minions though. It's like, why do we want that back? Who wants that? Was like wave clear a problem? It's so stupid. God. Like, they're just ruining the role. So I feel like Cutie. I honestly feel like Cutie, bro. Like he just experienced it at a different time where like he kept tolerating it. He kept tolerating it. And he said like if they keep just like making AD invalid, he's gonna leave. And he left. And I
Did he
felt
come
like
back though?
he comes back occasionally, but like it's just like so bad. Now I feel like it's getting to that point with me. Like AD's just terrible. They just made it so bad. Where now the only things that are good right now are gimmicky, and they're gonna nerf those things. That's not AD to them. AD to them is crit, but they ruined crit. Excuse me. And if this is what crit is normalized to become, if they normalize crit to this is what it is now, we have to choose whether you want to do damage or not. Like if that's the standard now, that's trash. Already they nerfed IE once. IE used to be 250 crit damage. They lowered it.
Um,
They lowered it like because they wanted to nerf damage overall. Okay, fine. And now I have to choose whether I want to do that damage now? Like what the hell? It's so stupid.
yeah, no. Like all the changes you listed out are so trash. Like I'm gonna watch this fucking video and I'm just gonna like
Bro,
hate ADC even more.
one of the
Just hate the whole role.
worst changes. I don't know why they did this. I know why they did this, but it's so stupid. You know, some ADs now, right?
Hmm.
They scale off AP.
What? They changed that?
Yeah, a popular ADC. I like to ask you a question. When you
No,
think of certain
man.
ADCs, what do you think? So I'm gonna list one off
I
for
think
you.
80 damage. I think of like
Okay.
swords. I think of fucking no mage items.
All right. What do you think of Vayne?
I think of full AD, bro. I think she only
Mm-hmm.
does AP with her fucking chunking of the 3 proc.
Mm-hmm. Well, that does true damage.
Oh, that is true. That was not even AP. Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't
All
scale
right.
off anything besides their
Okay.
health.
All right.
Well, they gave
Because you
her some
scared me.
AP scalings. So,
For what? For what?
what
Her
what do
Q does
you think? What do you think?
her Q or E, bro?
Her Q.
Like like when she does the tumble, the Q, her empowered auto will fucking
Yes, it'll do more damage. Yes, with AP.
what? Oh, did they do it with her E too?
No, it's the Q.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ryan, I don't know what you doing, bro.
And she's the one of the worst ADs. She's the worst AD in the game.
So crazy. That's so crazy.
The worst ADs in the game were the best ADs in crit meta. Vayne, Aphelios, Kaisa, Samira, Jinx, Caitlyn,
Damn, Samira
Ashe.
too, bro.
Samira's garbage.
Oh nah.